Well, welcome to Your City at Work. I'm Tom Loucks, your host, and today I have our city clerk with us. Thanks for joining me, Jessica.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, our clerk is new and not new to the city. She's been our deputy clerk for some time now, but she took over the main position just, about a month ago?
Correct.
So she's getting her feet wet, learning a lot about elections more than you did before, right?
A different aspect, correct.
So if you come into City Hall, you'll get to meet Jessica if needed. Otherwise, you have your staff available to answer any questions on the phone. Is that right?
Yes. So I have a deputy clerk who just started with us. She's also not new to the city, but new to our role, Ashley. And we have our part-time staff person, Beth, and they are there to answer the phones and help out at the front desk.
Alrighty. Well, welcome aboard in your new position. That sounds great, and I know you'll do well for the city.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I have you here because the elections are almost around the corner, and you've been working hard on learning all this, and I want to bring that information to our residents that are viewing this, and we have a primary in August coming up, I believe. So what does this mean?
Yes, we are 3 weeks away from our August 9th partisan primary. The partisan primary throws people off just a little bit because for a partisan election, though in Wisconsin you do not have to declare which party you will vote for, you don't have to register as a Republican or a Democrat. When you vote in a partisan primary, though, you are narrowed down to one party. You can choose to vote for the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, or on this ballot we also have the Libertarian and the Constitution Party. So on the first line of the ballot you can select which party you're going to vote for, and then you vote for candidates only within that party. If you make an error and you said you were going to vote in the Republican Party and you check a Democratic box, as long as you filled in the bubble at the top on which party you would like to vote for, the machine will read your ballot correctly and process that. If there's an error, you can always go back to the election workers and request a replacement ballot.
Okay, so the primary election date is, what is that date in August?
Tuesday, August 9th.
Okay, but now that doesn't mean you can't vote ahead of time.
That's correct. So we have absentee ballots out in the mail right now. As of today, we have about 1,000 absentee ballots that have been mailed. So these are for registered voters in the city of Marshfield who have in writing requested that we mail a ballot to their home, and they are returning those to us. Beginning next Tuesday, July 26th, we will offer in-person absentee voting in the city clerk's office at City Hall. So those hours will be from Tuesday, July 26th through Friday, August 5th, during open City Hall hours. So Monday through Thursday, 7:30 until 4:30, and on Fridays from 7:30 until noon. So those are the opportunities for a voter to come to us with their photo ID to come vote in person, though absentee.
Okay, so they get a ballot, same ballot
Correct.
as they would if they were voting. They do this in City Hall. Is there a place right in the front area?
Right. So we do have a room off to the lobby and the main entrance of City Hall. So we have that room available for people to go sit down where they can fill out their ballot in private. Many people choose to just fill their ballot out at the counter. We do have the privacy dividers out, and they will have just the ballot, the same ballot they would get at the polls on Election Day. The only difference is they will seal that ballot in the absentee envelope. Any ballot that is voted before Election Day gets sealed into one of those absentee envelopes. The voter signs with their signature just as if they would in the poll book, and then a witness signature is provided. So when you come to vote in City Hall, at City Hall, the City Hall staff will serve as your witness completing.
Okay, and you can't open those until when?
We do not open those ballots until Election Day at the polling place. So any ballot that's voted absentee, whether it comes to us from mail or in person, that will be sealed away in the vault until Election Day when city staff will deliver to the polling places.
Is it too late to ask for an absentee ballot?
It is not too late. You can actually request a ballot up until the Thursday before the election. So Thursday, August 4th, you can still request an absentee ballot. We do caution that if you know you will not be in town or you have a concern that you might not make it to the polls, to request it sooner rather than later, because we are required to mail the ballot to you. So if you come in with a request for a family member and they would like an absentee ballot, our only option is to mail that ballot to the individual. We cannot allow a ballot to leave the City Hall offices.
Okay, I get it. So if they needed to get a ballot for their mother or their father, the mother or and father separate would have to request a ballot. And is it only by letter or by a phone call?
They have a lot of options. It does have to be in writing. So we do have the MyVote website. Anyone in the state of Wisconsin can use the MyVote system. You can register to vote, or you can request your absentee ballot that way. You can email the clerk's office or the clerk's staff. You can fill out the absentee ballot request form, or you can send us a letter. We do ask if you're sending a letter or an email, make sure you include your name, the address where you're registered to vote, and the election or elections which you would like a ballot mailed to you for. Just because we do have 2 elections, we do have the November 8th general election also coming up later this year. Some people choose not to vote in the partisan primary, but they request a ballot at this time for the election, and the election they would get the ballot for is the August 9th partisan primary.
Okay. So the ballots are done,
Correct.
ready to go. Is that something that you need to help with in your position? You have to make sure that's all certified and ready to go?
So for an election like this one, we do not have any municipal offices on the ballot for a fall election. Those are for the spring. So most of this is handled by our county clerk. Our county clerk says we're in 2 counties. So they work with us, and we do see the proofs before they order those. So we sign off and make sure that all of our districts are covered.
Okay. So like you were saying, spring and fall, there's always a spring and fall election.
Correct.
Is that just for Wisconsin? Or not sure. I always wondered that. Maybe you can't, I'm not sure. Other states have it at different times, I think.
States have different
Okay.
election laws and different patterns they follow. Here in Wisconsin, our spring election, while we can have statewide races, for Marshfield, that's when we have our opportunity to have our municipal offices. So that's when our alder people or our mayor would be up for election, our school board members. And so we will have that April election each year. This February primary is just dependent on if we have enough candidates on the ballot that we need to narrow it down for the April election. So now this primary, for an August primary, is in the even years when we're getting ready for the general election in November.
Now, there is quite a lot of people on the ballot this time. And does that narrow it down for the general election?
Correct. So
Okay.
this is narrowing down each party's candidate for the November election. So this will be a sort of a tight turnaround. Our primary is August 9th. Those candidates will be determined, and then we'll be printing the ballots that will be mailed in September for the November election. So that's the importance of this August partisan primary, is to choose that top candidate for each office for each party.
Okay. Do you see a high turnout in general election like this?
So for a partisan primary, we look usually in the 30 to 40% voter turnout. We're never quite sure what to expect. With COVID, we've had the absentee numbers go a little bit higher and stay a little bit higher. We do see a really high return rate on those. So we're actually at just over 40% of our absentees have been returned with 3 weeks to go before the election. So that's not quite a great gauge for us, because that is usually a higher, but we'll anticipate 30 to 40%.
Okay. Let's go back to absentee ballots now. You guys collect those back. How are they secure? Everyone always asks, oh, they're not secure.
Right.
I would think they're secure.
Sure. So I'll just use you, Tom. So you come in and I know you don't live in the city of
Right.
Marshfield, but we're going to assume that you live here in the city of Marshfield, you're a registered voter, you provide us your photo ID, and you make that written request for your absentee ballot. We mail it out to you, you complete your ballot, you fill out your envelope, you've signed it as the voter, you've had a witness sign and include their address, and you've returned that ballot to us. So to issue that ballot, we had to go into WisVote, the statewide voting system, to log that we have issued a ballot. So if you move outside of our area and you move somewhere else and you register and you request an absentee ballot, it's going to flag to say, please don't do that. Tom's already voting. We don't want to allow him to commit voter fraud.
Right.
So now you've returned your ballot to me, so now we're going to log in WizVote again that we received your absentee ballot and what day we have that back. On our end, we have a secure spot in our vault where we store all of those absentee ballots until Election Day. The week before the election, we are going to be printing out logs to say, here's who's requested an absentee ballot, here's who's returned their absentee ballot, and we'll start comparing those numbers. If my log says I should have 100 absentee ballots returned, I'm counting 100 absentee ballots, and that's what I'll bring to my polling place on Election Day.
Okay. So if they did request one and they didn't fill it out and they want to still vote, can they do that?
Yes, so if you've requested an absentee ballot, you think maybe you're going to be out of town, and then things change and you're able to go to the polls on Election Day. The first thing that is going to happen when you go to the polls and you state your name and address and you provide your photo ID, our poll workers will see in the poll book that you've requested that absentee ballot. And there's a watermark, whether you've requested or whether you've returned. And if it says you've requested the ballot, they are going to ask you, did you return your absentee ballot? And if you say, no, I have not returned my absentee ballot, I have not completed my absentee ballot, they will issue a ballot to you at the polls. If you say, oh, I did, but I just mailed it yesterday, I wasn't sure if it would make it back, you will not be issued a ballot at that point because you did return that ballot even if it isn't received yet.
Okay. Have you ever seen ballots come in late and then they're no good?
We do. Every election we have ballots that will be rejected because they are received after Election Day. And state law is very specific that you must have your ballot returned to the polls before they close on Election Day, so before 8 p.m. on Election Day.
Okay. What is Board of Canvassers?
Board of Canvassers is to actually certify the election results for your municipality or your voting district. So for the August primary, we will not need to have a Board of Canvassers meeting in Marshfield because we don't have any local candidates on the ballot. It will be done through the county for us. So they will go through and do an audit of our records, making sure we've signed everything, we've included all the paperwork, that all of our numbers match for Election Day.
Okay. You may get this question. I kind of talked about how can you assist somebody, maybe somebody that's coming in that can't hear or can't see well, but still has the opportunity to vote. What can they help? Can someone help someone vote?
Yes. So if you are elderly, you have a disability, you need some assistance, whether you can't hold the pen and you can't write. We do have at each of our polling places, we have compliant equipment to allow someone to still vote on their own. The ballot can be read to them. There's Braille. They have options to zoom the screen so they can still complete their own ballot. If they're not comfortable with that, you can ask someone to assist you with completing your ballot. There's an area on the ballot for an assister to sign the ballot. If they're voting absentee, there's also an area on the absentee envelope for you to sign saying you assisted. We'll from time to time have couples come into the office during in-person absentee voting. One of them is disabled and needs a little bit of help. And in order to keep their vote private from their spouse, they'll ask staff to help them complete their ballot, just to allow them that privilege of voting on their own, but still just a little bit of assistance.
What is the legal age of voting? Is it 18 or 21? I don't even know.
18.
18. So if someone just turned 18 by that election day, they can vote.
That's correct.
What again do people need to bring? More than a license?
So if you're a registered voter, you only need to bring your driver's license. If you are looking to register to vote, if your driver's license has your correct address, that's all that you would need. If your driver's license is not updated, you would need to bring some other proof, whether that's a bank statement or a utility bill, a mortgage, a residential lease, a pay stub. There's a list of items that you're allowed to bring to use as your proof of residence. Most notably that you cannot use is anything insurance related, medical or dental or car insurance. Those are not sufficient.
Okay, that helps a lot. You're always looking for poll workers, I think, but you have to train those guys ahead. So is it too late for this election, partisan primary, to get poll workers, or are you even looking for them? I don't know.
So we'll always take anyone who's interested in being a poll worker. We'll take names for anyone interested. For August, we're looking okay as far as our poll workers go. As odd as it sounds, 2020 benefited us in that way. We had a lot of people step forward to say, you know, I can make some time in my schedules to help out on election day. There's only 4 election days a year, and I can take a vacation day and I can come assist at the polls. I feel comfortable with that. I do encourage anyone who's interested, though, to please let us know, because we will be doing some training before the November election. A general election, we will have extra bodies there at the polling place. We'll have extra people there to greet you when you come in to make sure you know your correct ward and which line you want to stand in, or if you're even at the correct polling place, as we do have 3 polling locations in Marshfield. We'll have extra people there to help with voter registration for people registering on election day. We'll have extra people just around to assist if somebody needs a little bit of help.
Okay. Well, let's talk about redistricting. You just mentioned the 3 polling places that we have. There could be some changes, maybe. But what is, you have a little map in front of me. I know not everybody here sees that. It's on a flat table.
Right.
It's pretty hard. What do you mean by, what's redistricting? It's something that happened last year, late?
Right. So after your census, so every 10 years after your census, you will have redistricting. So the census was a little bit delayed with COVID, so everything was backed up just a little bit with redistricting. Marshfield's Complete Count Committee met and helped with this finishing the census, and then we had our redistricting committee meet to work with figuring out exactly where everyone needed to be in the city of Marshfield. We are restricted in how we can move based on the census blocks that are set forth to us. And the county gets to set their lines before we set our lines. So we did have people who were shuffled around because population does shift within the city in a 10-year time frame. So we did have some letters go out this spring to a number of Marshfield residents who were shifted from one ward to another. Some of those did involve moving polling locations. And then we actually had to adopt a second revision to our maps because the state maps came down to us a little bit later, and they sort of chiseled off another little section of the northeast corner of Marshfield into the Assembly District 86 that had previously been in District 69. So we are a split municipality in that way. So that does create a few more wards. But again, if somebody was changed in their polling place, all residents would have received a letter, whether a registered voter or not, to let them know of that change.
Okay. There's a map that will be on the clerk's page.
Correct.
That you'll put on to make sure it's updated. I'm looking at it here. It looks like it has colors and up to number 10. What does that mean?
So we have it color-coded for our 10 aldermanic districts within the city of Marshfield. There are additional voting wards because when we do have a spring election, your county supervisor, you might have 2 county supervisors who cover the same aldermanic district, so we break off additional little wards. Or, for example, when part of a ward, an aldermanic district is in a different assembly district, we have to create another little ward for them. That doesn't change their alder person, that keeps them in their aldermanic district, but it does change their voting ward for their congressional and assembly districts.
Okay, so when you mean ward, there could be several wards for each alderman, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you could have, how many wards are there? Is there?
We have 22 wards in the city of Marshfield. Some wards are just 1. Some aldermanic districts have just 1 ward.
Okay.
But then some are broken down a little bit smaller. You also have, because we are in 2 counties, so aldermanic districts 1, 2, and 10 do have additional wards that are Marathon County.
Okay. I guess I'm trying to put my head around the word ward and what it means. It means
the wards are the smaller little pieces of the puzzle making up their larger aldermanic district.
Okay, I get it. So we have 10 aldermanic districts.
Correct.
Although we're not voting for aldermen this time.
Correct.
But that's also a very important part in how where they go to vote.
Yes.
And you have said there's 3 places?
We have 3 polling locations. We have the Oak Avenue Community Center, the Old Armory, is our largest. Aldermanic districts 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, and our portion of Marathon vote there. Wildwood Station has districts 5, 6, and 7, and the 2nd Street Community Center, the old library, has districts 8 and 9.
Oh, that's awesome. You've got it memorized. You're ready to go. I wouldn't have known that. So It looks like you have all the answers. A lot of these answers are very helpful, I believe, to our viewers. Is there a place that people can go for more information if they feel they need more than what we've provided?
My Vote is an excellent resource for citizens of Wisconsin, not just City of Marshfield, but all of Wisconsin. You can put in your name, your birth date, and you can find all of your voter information there, as well as a sample ballot. You can find a sample ballot through My Vote, so you can see exactly what's going to be on your ballot when you go to the polls on Election Day. You can go to the City Clerk's website. We try to keep that as current as possible. Sometimes we have a few glitches, but we're trying. And then you can always call the City Clerk's office. We're happy to answer any questions and help anyone walk through that.
Okay. Do you have a number that you could share with us for the clerk's office? That would be a general number?
The general number for the clerk's office is 715-486-2023. And that'll bring you to the call tree, and you can push a number and get the operator. It will ring to all of us in the office.
So one of you will pick up
Correct.
of you three.
Yes.
There's three people, 2 full-timers and a part-timer. Is
Correct.
that how that works?
Yes.
Busy. You have to do a lot of the meetings in your job. I know it's a little bit different with election, but you always see the clerk at a lot of the meetings. Is that right?
That is one of the roles of the clerk's office.
Especially for the finance meeting, right? Not all the other meetings you have to go to.
I do the Judiciary Licensing Committee,
right.
the Finance, Budget, Personnel, and Common Council.
Okay. What have I missed that maybe we should have brought up? I tried to get every piece that I could think of for elections.
I just encourage everyone to be an educated voter. There are a lot of resources out there. You can contact us if you have questions on who is on the ballot. We can direct you to those sample ballots so that you're prepared. A partisan primary gets a little tricky for people because you do have to stay within party lines, and because we don't register with the party in the state of Wisconsin, that gets a little confusing. So we're happy to answer questions for anyone.
Okay. So that sample ballot that you were talking about, can they just see it at My Vote or not?
Yes, if you go to My Vote, it will actually give you a listing of your specific ballot, because we do have multiple ballot styles in the city of Wisconsin, or in the city of Marshfield, given the districts and how the assemblies line up. So we have, I think we're at 13 ballot styles for this election.
Oh, really?
Because each district needs their own ballot.
Wow. Now, your machines do this, not your poll workers don't have to look at them, right?
Our poll workers will know that, okay, I am working for District 1, so I have ballots for Districts 1 and 11 right here at my table. They only have their district with them. But we do have the 13 different ballot styles in our office, so if you come in to vote in person, we'll be finding the correct ballot for you.
I had no idea. I thought it was one ballot for the city.
Nothing's that simple.
Nothing is that simple. They made it really difficult. But how many times do you go there? I know even myself, you go, who is this? This is a chance you can do some research.
Right. That's why My Vote is just, it's a great tool because it has all the resources right there for you. So you can see that. It is still published, the sample ballot is still published in the newspaper, but that is just the weekend before the election. So
right.
That's not enough time for some people to do research when you have a 2-sided ballot for an election like this.
It is large and a lot of stuff on there. So, well, for the viewers, they may have a question. You know, we may, hopefully, not for the partisan primary, but the general election. We call it the general election,
Yes,
right, in November. We hope to have some of those candidates come and visit us. So I'll come and talk about why they're running, what they believe in, and do that. Offer that to any of the candidates within our area is what we're open to. I know I saw sheriff on there, but there's nobody running against our Wood County sheriff this
No.
time. So I know that was a big one before I got here. I think it was was it every 4 years?
I think so.
Yeah, it's every 4 years. So I had a chance to do that when I was in Rapids. And so, well, thanks so much for coming by. This is good information. Anything else, Jess?
Thanks for having me today. And again, I'll just encourage people, give us a call if you have a question. We're happy to help.
All right. Like Jess said, give them a call. Again, they are closed on Friday afternoons. Remember that. That is new. So don't try to reach out then. Otherwise, reach out Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 4:30, and then Fridays until 7:30 until noon, or go to their website. You can look under the clerk's page, and it has a lot of information there. It'll actually lead you to My Vote as well if you need to. Well, thank you, Jess, for sharing all this information on the election process. It's a big amount of work for you and your staff. and you're ready for it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone watching for Your City at Work. I'm Tom Loucks, the host, and again, thanks Jessica for coming by and telling me about the election and her new role as city clerk. Take care.